You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Looney Lewis, and today I have the honor of introducing a very phenomenal young man to the show, and he is going to blow your mind about sleeping well and the importance of it. So he has helped high achievers and exhausted insomniacs get and stay asleep so they can wake up with more peace and be more present in their life. He is a best-selling author, speaker, renowned sleep coach, and founder of Sleep Science Academy, which helps people stop suffering and start sleeping using unique, get this, holistic approach based in science. He believes that we create our reality in living in the field of infinite possibility. He also thinks that our body will heal when giving the right condition to do so and giving the opportunity to heal itself. We have that power. And so we're going to learn how to tap into that, tune into that. So with no further ado, Devin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm excited to share and talk sleep with you and your listeners.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here because, as you know, the morning routine starts the night before and it starts with a quality night of sleep. But before we jump right into that, Devin, tell us a little bit about your journey here thus far.
Yeah, so I've studied over the last decade a lot of different mind-body, let's call them technologies. And a couple of years ago, I was working with a client who had issues with his sleep. He asked me for help. Up until that point, I'd studied nutrition, I studied psychology, I studied exercise physiology, all these different things, right? To understand how to live a vibrant, healthy life. And I hadn't studied sleep. So I said, hey, listen, I've never studied sleep science. I don't know too much about sleep. And honestly, I thought it was a waste of time. But I was like, but you're having an issue with it. Let me look into it. So long story short, I looked into it and my eyes were open to how important sleep is. Sleep's the foundation of health. Then I looked into what's available for people that can't sleep. And all I found was medication. And the further I looked, I saw, okay, there's one part of psychology that can help, CBTI it's called. And I said, wait a second. Okay, there's some good tools there. But all the things I'd studied over the last decade, I realized, wow, these tools that I've learned absolutely can apply to help people sleep. And then I helped him. I helped him sleep. And I said, if I can help him, I can help a lot of people. So I went back, studied sleep science, got a couple certifications, and founded Sleep Science Academy. We've been helping people all over the country get and stay asleep. People have tried everything, are on sleeping pills, have tried the therapy, tried the acupuncture, have tried the functional medicine. We're able to help them sleep. So that's the quick version of the long story.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about the holistic approach to it. Now, how long have you been in business?
So I've been helping people for 15 years, doing this for 4 years. So helping people specifically solve their insomnia, chronic insomnia for 4 years. And it's really evolved over those 4 years. The more I learned from clients and the more I've studied, I constantly am looking for solutions for people to improve people's results. But what we got right now works, and it works really well. And it's exciting because, like I said, there's not a lot of options for people out there that have this issue.
Right. How big is this problem, especially here in America? Because people are chronic insomniac, right? They can't sleep. Their mind is racing. They don't know what the cause of it is. And it's like a gateway to other health issues. So how big is this number-wise in the country?
Yeah, about 40 million Americans. And that number, that's old. So since COVID, I haven't seen the recent data, but I can assure you it's much more than 40 million people in America. Globally, I don't know the number globally, but it's a massive problem. And a lot of people struggle with it. And a lot of people think they have to live with it, and they don't.
Right.
And it's, really insomnia it's a symptom. It's a result. It's not really the problem. And when people address these symptoms of the symptom with sleeping pills and with, these quick fixes, supplements, it might help for a little bit, but then it ends up coming back. And then they get more frustrated, more frustration, more stress leads to that paradox of trying to force and control it. It keeps them stuck. Yeah. And then on this goes. So when you're not sleeping, your cortisol goes up, your stress hormones go up. Those are up. You're not going to be able to sleep the next night. So it's this vicious cycle that people get caught on where it's not good. It's not fun to be in that paradox.
Yeah. You're in a fight or flight mode at all times. And so adrenal fatigue kicks in, and that keeps you up at night because your cortisol levels are way too high due to chronic stress, right? And chronic stress is not just like the laborer. It's not just, it's entrepreneurs. It's the working mom. It's the teacher now that is teaching. Chronic stress is just a prolonged stress over a duration of time that you just can't ease off of. And the body realizes, okay, we're on fight mode. We can't flee, so we're going to fight. And so cortisol overproduce. And so how, what's the holistic? How do you combat that?
Yeah. So the way I look at it is, first and foremost, you got to address the mind, because the mind controls the body. So, looking at thoughts and beliefs about sleep, about your ability to sleep, about what happens if you don't sleep. There's a lot of mind stuff and mind patterns that people get stuck in that doesn't allow their body to get out of that wired and tired state. If you try to address, I find the body before the mind, it can be helpful, but usually I've seen it's not sustainable. So I start with the mind. We look at what are the thoughts and the beliefs that are creating the stress? What's the truth? And then we get to the body. And the body, meaning resetting the sleep system, as we call it, which is like circadian clock and sleep pressure. So there's some tools, techniques, and technology to do that. And then lastly, we look at the environment, which is where most people start. And a lot of people have probably heard about the term sleep hygiene. This is, hey, make your bedroom cold and dark. Don't eat too late. Don't have caffeine, alcohol, all the things that you read about online if you're looking for support with your sleep, these blogs and articles. That's all fantastic. That doesn't solve insomnia. It helps improve your sleep quality, but it won't get you out of that paradox of trying to, force and control sleep. It actually, in some cases, it makes it worse because the more those things you try that don't work, the more stressful it becomes. And the more it reinforces this false belief that you're broken and you can't sleep.
Yeah. And you bought the circadian clock, and I do this piece with my clients and my listeners, talk about morning routine starting the night before. And there's a chronotype. You've heard of them? There are different times of day that at night you should go to sleep and wake up according to your biological clock. Tell us about this biological clock that is ticking inside.
Yeah. So chronobiology, Dr. Michael Bruce is one of the more popular promoters of this, but we all have our unique chronotype or unique sort of body rhythm. And they found actually that every single cell has its own clock. It's amazing.
Tiny mini clocks going on within a clock. It's like Inception.
It is. And then we have the master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's like a big word, but essentially there's the master clock that controls all these little tiny clocks and syncs them up. And I like to make the analogy, it's like a grandfather clock.
What's that one called? The grandfather clock?
It's the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's the main clock that controls all of the other clocks, right? So if that one's out of sync, and oftentimes it's out of sync because we're not getting enough sun, because we're not eating the right foods, we're not hydrated, chronic stress, just from thoughts and just living in this crazy world, that all dysregulates the natural biorhythms. And so when that dysregulates the natural biorhythms, then we have dysfunction. Dysfunction shows up as not being able to turn off, not being able to shift into the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. And it's like, I like to give the analogy, it's kind of like a light switch. It gets stuck in the on position and maybe it toggles a little bit off, but it never really fully shuts off. And that's what keeps people up. And then suddenly you get that wired and tired adrenal sort of your body's tired, but your mind can't shut off. It's because the whole system is screaming for help. It's saying, help, please do something different. What you're doing is not working, but we ignore it a lot of times.
Yeah. And it's built up, right? Because I can't imagine it's like, okay, well, I've been like this for about a month. Okay, I'm ready to reset. It doesn't just happen one decision, right? What's the duration? How long does it take for me to go back to that normalcy?
Yeah. I mean, when we work with clients, it's over the course of 8 weeks. And we have worked with clients that have insomnia for decades, that have been on sleeping pills for decades. And we found within 8 weeks, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, we can resync that circadian clock. And it starts again before we doing that, understanding the thoughts and the beliefs that are keeping you in the stress state. Because until you deconstruct those mind patterns, the physicality, the tools and the physicality of resetting the body, I found is just not as effective or sustainable.
So we're going back to psychology now.
Big time. Big time. I mean, the thing between your ears runs, it runs the show. And I found a lot of times people discount it. And it makes sense because you can't see your thoughts.
Right.
You can see your bed and bedroom. You can see your supplements. You can see, your physicality, the things around you, your environment, but you can't see your thoughts. But thoughts are things. So if you don't understand what's going on between your ears and how to make sense of it, it's very, very challenging to address the root cause, which a lot of times it is first and foremost in the mind.
Yeah. And for me, as a habit psychologist, I find it when people come to build habits, we really do have to go the approach you are referring to. It starts with the mind. We really can't build any new habits if the negative belief that is deep rooted subconsciously is driving your behavior. We got to go in there and rip that out. We got to go in there and reprogram and rewire the mind before we can actually implement new habits. And then that's when it's almost like getting a new identity.
Yeah. And a lot of times, unfortunately, people have this identity of I'm a bad sleeper.
Yep.
And then they've reinforced it with, well, my parents were a bad sleeper, my grandparents were a bad sleeper. And then they buy into that story, which isn't true. Like, sleep is a natural biological process that happens when we remove the barriers to it happening.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And people just have all these stories around, it's my genetics, or it's this, or it's that. And it's like, well, no, it's not.
Yeah. I want to talk about the different things that can happen to break that cycle, but let's talk about the different chronotypes. I think I read somewhere that there's a night owl and there's a early bird chronotype, not just the four that we know, the lion, the bear, the wolf, and the dolphin.
Yep. So dolphins are the Insomniacs, and then I think Dr. Michael Bruce, he's fantastic. He came up with those four sort of animal chronotypes and named them. Before that, it was sort of the night owl and the morning bird or morning lark. There's only two, and he came up with these other four. I don't know where the two fit into his specific, but we do. The
morning person would probably be the lion, because I'm a lion, early riser.
Yeah, we absolutely, I think it's very valuable to know what your chronotype is, because a lot of times people do go against their own biology, and then they think they have a problem, but it's not a problem. It's just they don't understand their body. And so we do have these now, and he has a great quiz on his, I think it's powerofwhenquiz.com. You can take this little quiz, and there's a whole book. Dr. Michael Bruce is fantastic, but yeah, understanding your chronotype can be helpful. Again, I think it's a small piece in a much larger puzzle.
Yeah.
But just having the awareness of, hey, I am a morning person, so maybe it makes sense for me to go to bed a little bit earlier so I can have, at least 7 hours of solid sleep to get up early to then fuel my day. Or somebody that's a night owl. Okay, well, if you're going to be a night owl, then make sure that you create the space to get at least between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. And sometimes our schedules don't allow for that. Sometimes they do. Mm-hmm. But if you do have a flexible job or flexible lifestyle that can cater towards that chronotype, it's very helpful. It's not realistic for a lot of people. So it's that becomes the challenge, I think.
I have to ask, what's your chronotype?
I'm a bear.
You are. You need eight hours of sleep.
I need my 8 hours of sleep. I'm actually a professional sleeper.
I bet.
I really am. It's a gift. I used to take it for granted, and but not anymore, because I know the value and the importance of it.
So are you midday taking a nap, or are you taking a walk when your energy slumps after lunchtime? Because I know all about bears. I know all about the chronotypes.
Yeah, well, I'm very well versed in that. Yeah. So I'm a walker. So so I'll go out, I'll get some sun and I'll get some sun on my skin. Yeah. I'm not much of a napper, but I do, again, I do nap sometimes. It just kind of depends. I listen to my body. I think that's like one of the most important skill sets that's been lost is the art of listening to your own body. And your body will tell you what you need. Is it a nap or is it a walk? Sometimes it's both. So
gotta be able to tune in to hear the body. And that starts with shutting down all the chatter, what I call the ants, the automatic negative thoughts that goes on. We have 60,000 of them. So no wonder we're flustered. Yeah. We're walking around like, what am I listening to? What's happening?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, those ants, they'll build a giant ant farm if you don't learn how to put them in line.
They will take over. Yeah. So tell us about what you've alluded to it a little bit about actually going subconsciously and dealing with the mind, the psychology behind what's happening, your thoughts and your belief. How do you define good sleep? Because I have a sleep tracker and I'm tracking my REM and there's another one, my light sleep, my deep sleep. And so define good sleep.
Yeah. So when we talk about good sleep, first and foremost, I like to start with quantity of sleep. So everyone needs a little bit different amount of sleep. So that's where the chronotype comes in and the chronobiology. Some people can get away with 7 hours. Some people need 8 hours. Some people need 8.5 hours. Some people need 9 hours. So knowing how much sleep you need is a good place to start. How you determine that is you experiment with it. There isn't like a magic, solution that can tell you how much sleep you need. But then outside of the quantity of sleep, now we're talking sleep quality. So quality of sleep is the depth of your sleep. So are you getting deep delta sleep where the body repairs? Are you getting REM sleep? That's really where the mind repairs. Short-term memory gets shuttled to long-term storage. The glymph system gets activated, which removes the beta amyloid, the plaque that builds up and creates Alzheimer's. There's so much that happens through these different stages. Yeah. But you could get the right amount of sleep, but if that sleep isn't quality, you're not going to wake up refreshed. So a sign, if you're not using a sleep tracker, which I highly recommend because we can't manage what we don't measure. Right. But if you wake up and you're refreshed, you're getting quality sleep. If you wake up and you're foggy and you're groggy and there's something in the depth and quality of your sleep that's being challenged. And so, we go through 4 to 5 cycles every 90 minutes in and out of light, deep and REM sleep. And depending on how long we sleep, dictates how many of those cycles we go through. But there's certain things you can do to optimize REM sleep and deep sleep. That's like the juicy good stuff. Yeah. And we can talk about that if you like, or.
Yeah. How do we optimize?
So first, let's start with what not to do. So caffeine and alcohol, we know disturbs sleep quality, specifically REM sleep. And that's really important for memory and dreaming, and eating too late. That disturbs deep sleep because we get most of our deep sleep in the first half of the night, most of our REM sleep right before we wake up. So if we look at it as a football game, the first quarter is deep sleep, the fourth quarter is REM sleep. And oftentimes people don't give themselves enough time in bed. So they cut into the REM sleep, or they eat too late at night or drink alcohol, which disturbs their deep sleep, which is where the body repairs and recovers. That's where like growth hormone and all these amazing things are being released during that deep delta body stage recovery sleep. So those are things not to do. Now, things you can do is absolutely making your room cold and dark helps increase deep sleep. This is really fun. I love to share this one. Incline sleeping. So incline sleeping, it's fascinating. They found that if you put your bed on an incline, about 5-degree incline, it actually increases deep sleep. And it's really, really interesting. Why does that happen? I mean, the ancient Egyptians they found beds, incline beds. The ancient Egyptians knew about incline sleeping. Wow. So it helps with the glymph system. So that lymph system in the brain, it helps with circulation. It helps if you have GERD or if you have some type of digestive issue. Being on an incline helps with snoring. And it absolutely helps with the circulation and just recovery of your body in general. So you can get bed risers. You can buy these little bed wedges. You can actually now buy bed frames that are already inclined. This is like a next level thing that most people don't know about. Yeah.
And it's subtle. It's not like you're buying the bed where you can go upright all the way up, where there's two different, I guess, remote control. We're talking about something subtle that you won't even feel.
That's right. And it's really important to make a distinction between that, because those beds, what happens is they incline just half of the body, and that actually can put pressure on your organs. You don't want that. You want your full bed to be on an incline. So that's really important distinction to make. So that's fantastic. Mouth taping your mouth shut at night. Sounds crazy. Increases quality of sleep, because nasal breathing increases nitrous oxide. It's a vasodilator. It's good for people that have blood pressure. It's good for people that snore. It's the hair in your nose filters the air. You'll swallow a lot less spiders, which is good too. There's this funny little statistic. I think the average person swallows 5 spiders a year or something like that, because they're sleeping with their mouth open.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So taping your mouth shut can improve a lot of different things, but people have found that it absolutely improves the quality and depth of your sleep. It sounds crazy. You don't have to do it forever, but just retraining your body to breathe through your nose for the 7 to 8 hours that you're in bed is an amazing, unique strategy for quality.
Yeah, it's almost like deep breathing practice, right? Meditation, where it goes straight to your head to help relaxes you and putting oxygen up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So nasal breathing activates the parasympathetic automatic nervous system response. It's versus if you're breathing, I always to give the example, if someone jumped out and scared you, you go, you breathe from your mouth.
Shallow.
But if you're relaxed, you're breathing from your nose all the way down into your diaphragm. And that's peaceful state.
That's the game changer right there. Yeah. And I want to talk about the, when you're going to where sleep between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., something happens. Do you know what happens during that time? Melatonin levels drop because we're driven by the sunset and the sunrise. So as soon as sunset rises, melatonin starts to rise in our bodies, and it's at its peak between those hours, 10 to 2. And so that's where the chemical reaction happens for restorative and regenerative sleep. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I read that because I was following Oprah Winfrey and Tony Robbins, and I read about that reaction that takes place during that time. So if you go to sleep beyond those hours, you already on a wrong foot. You started on a wrong foot because you didn't optimize with the power of those 4 hours. Yeah, the money sleep hours, as I call them. It's that's where you get the most delta deep sleep. So that's the first quarter of the night. Your body temperature needs to drop between 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit to induce sleep. That's why having a colder room actually makes you drop into that deep sleep sooner. But that specific time, for whatever reason, that is the time when your body gets the most delta sleep. And again, that's when the body's recovering. That's when, you can think of the T cells activation, those are the cells that kill cancer. That's when those things are going all over the body, clearing out all the toxins, clearing out all the waste. That's the most important stage of sleep. If you were going to put one stage of sleep on a pedestal, would be deep sleep, because it's literally when you're physically repairing your body. And between those hours, because of what you just mentioned with the chemical reaction of the melatonin and the drop in body temperature and for a lot of other reasons, that is when you get the most deep sleep. So making sure that you're in bed and you're optimizing that chunk of time is very, very important, which is why you don't want to eat too late at night, because your body digesting food, you want your body doing what it's designed to do, which is repairing your body during those really critical hours of sleep. Yeah, I'm so glad you elaborate on that, because I knew that, but you added the science, more of the science behind it to actually highlight the importance of it. Because I would go to sleep between, I'd say 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'd be up at 3:30, and my sleep score on my Fitbit would be like an 85. Whereas my husband, who's a bear, will go to sleep at 11:30, wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and he'll get like a 75. Again, it's those primal hours, right? That you just got to capitalize, because you know what your body's doing. So you just kind of jump on board to optimize the benefits.
100%. Yeah. So make sure you turn off Netflix, you get yourself in bed to get that quality sleep. That really, it does make a massive difference when you prioritize that time, for sure.
Yeah. And then technology and lights, right? Getting there to setting up the environment. That was the second piece. The first one was mental. You said the psychology. And then the second was the environmental, fixing up your environment. And that's getting rid of all lights.
Yeah. So that would be the third phase. So it's mind, body, then environment. And so the environment phase, yeah, absolutely. Optimizing your lighting is very important. So getting sun first thing in the morning helps sync the circadian clock, shutting off half your lights as the sun starts to set, getting the fluorescent lights, the LED lights out of your house, get incandescent lights, those because of the blue light. It's really, the body doesn't know the difference between the blue light from the sun and the blue light from these devices. So what happens is as the sun starts to set, that's when the melatonin faucet gets turned on. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, makes us sleepy and tired. With the light from these different devices, our body doesn't know that the sun's setting. So that faucet doesn't get turned on all the way. And that's why a lot of times we do that, quality of sleep. Again, we're talking quality of sleep. We don't get into those deeper stages of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome to know, because it really is impactful how you wake up in the morning. Because if you're trying to do a morning routine, trying to have energy, trying to be productive during the day, you have to get quality of sleep. That's why the morning routine starts the night before. It's not just prepping your water before you wake up. It's not just prepping your running clothes and your calendar, your to-do list, but setting yourself, having a nightly routine to set yourself up for a good night's sleep so you can wake up energized and not whack that snooze button first thing in the morning.
I love it. Yeah. I tell people that a great night of sleep starts as soon as you wake up.
Ooh.
So, but I like what you said too. A great morning starts the night before. It's very cyclical, and it's so true.
Yeah.
So as soon as you wake up, what you do throughout your entire day dictates how you sleep. How you sleep dictates how you start your day. So
I'm blown. Okay. So Devin, tell us about your morning routine. How do you get up, dress up, and show up?
Yeah. So how I get up, dress up, and show up is I get up and I start my day on my cushion. And so I'm a big believer in mindfulness. I've been meditating for a long time. It's transformed my life. So that's where I start. I start on the cushion. Then I have a cold plunge in my house. So not every day, but a couple of days a week. I was in it this morning, and then a hot shower, and then I'm some water, and I'm hitting the computer and getting to work.
Really? That is simple. Yeah. That is simple. So tell us about this plunger in your house.
Yeah. So I converted it's actually a deep freezer into a cold water immersion tank, essentially. And so cold water therapy is incredible. It helps with inflammation. It helps with hormones. I found that since when I consistently do it, I just feel better. My body's less inflamed. I have more energy. I'm more focused, and mentally, I start the day. I never really want to get in that thing. It's hard. It's painful. So it trained my mind to do things that I don't want to do, what my body doesn't want to do, because your mind's in control. So if you do hard things first thing in the morning, it kind of sets you up, I found, for success, because you're able to do the harder things throughout the day as well.
Yeah. It makes you comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think we intentionally need to do that because we're all addicted to our comforts, and life is unfortunately not always comfortable. We're all going to experience pain, but the suffering is the optional part, right? So, I like to practice intentionally feeling some pain because it helps me to just be prepared for when it's unintentionally happening.
What the day has to throw at you, especially as an entrepreneur. I mean, 100 things are coming at you all at once. And you have to be calm. You have to be poised. You have to be able to address everything with a sound mind. And I find meditation does help with that. I do cold showers, and my entrepreneurs that come on the show does it as well. And I tell my clients, making the last 30 seconds to 60 seconds of your shower ice cold will give you those benefits, although you don't have the plunge, because Tony Robbins does the same thing you do with the cold therapy. Yeah,
it really does make a difference. It really does. It's a big game changer. It's hard to do. It's a little extreme, but I found that it's one of the best things I've done for consistently. Yeah. For my health and for my morning ritual. It's that powerful.
So I imagine you're working out later in the day then, right? Because you need an energy second half of the day. So the workout gives that to you.
That's right. And sometimes I use it at the end of the day just to relieve the pressure valve. So it just depends. I like to have flexibility within structure because I get bored.
Mm-hmm.
So some days, I'm doing yoga. Some days at the end of the day, I'm at the gym. Sometimes it's in the afternoons. It just really depends on my week and what's going on. And again, listening to the body, feeling into what I need to support my energy and my health and my focus.
So what I'm hearing, Devin, and morning enthusiast, you don't have to cram it all in the morning, depending on your chronotype, depending on your body type and what your body needs. You can actually spread the workout if you need more energy throughout later on in the day. As for me as a lion, they tell me to work out at 5 o'clock because I don't know my name by then, right? I'm looking for a bed because I'm up so early, but I put my workout in the morning because it gives me energy. And that's the power of it. So it's figuring out, it's playing with it to customize it that it fits you. So Devin, you really exemplify that and share that because you do get the workout and it's just later on. It's just later on in the day.
Yeah. And listen, again, there's not one right way. It's right. You got to be open to experimenting. I think everyone's looking for, hey, what should I do? Tell me what I should do. And it's like, well, here are some pieces that work. Try them out. And, maybe you're not meditating for 20 minutes. Maybe you're praying for 5. And, I don't have kids, so I have the luxury of not having, to manage little people around the house schedule. So everyone, and your routine is going to change as you go through life and life changes, and it should change. Yeah. But having something consistently for yourself in the morning is so powerful. It really does make all the difference because the rest of the day is just so much better.
Yeah, I call it what you do in the first 5 to 10 minutes sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
Make it effective. So morning enthusiasts, you've heard it here first. This has been Devin, and man, was this powerful about morning routine starting the night before. And we actually had a sleep expert come on and tell us how to do so. And the chronotype test, I do have a link of it on my website, so you can take it and actually find your chronotype. And as Devin mentioned, it's a great place to start. So if you go on bestmorningroutineever.com, you'll find a link to it, and it'll take you with for Dr. Bruce's, all that good stuff. So I really appreciate your time today, Devin. Thank you so much for coming on and actually letting us know the science behind our sleep.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was really fun. I appreciate the work you're doing in the world. So thanks for what you're sharing and what you're doing. Absolutely.
So tell us, how can we find you? How can we connect with you if we want to dive deeper?
Yeah. So Sleep Science Academy, sleepscienceacademy.com, or Devin Burke Wellness on all the social sites, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. That's where I put out a lot of sleep content. So if you want more stuff, you can check me out on social. If you need support, sleepscienceacademy.com.
Excellent. This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Devin, for your time today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time,